So imagine this for a sec. You're standing on the edge of a roof. It's late at night. The air's cool, a little crisp maybe, and the whole town below you sleep. You've got this small bag packed at your feet, nothing fancy, just the essential.
A radio, maybe.
Exactly. A radio, a change of clothes. And you look out at the horizon and it feels just absolutely massive. Endless dark sky. And in your head, you have this fragile, barely there dream.
Right.
You're not waiting for a bus. You're not waiting for a ride. You are just hoping, maybe even praying that when you jump, your wings are going to...
That is such a visceral image. It really, really captures that specific feeling of, standing on the precipice of the unknown. I think whether you're 13 or 50, you recognize that tightness in your chest.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of leaving safety behind.
Exactly. It's like the Sunday scaries, but for like the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And today we are jumping off that roof with a very specific character in mind. We are doing a deep dive into Hayao Miyazaki's beloved classic, Kiki's Delivery Service.
Now, if you've seen it, you probably remember the general vibe. It's cute, right? There's a 13-year-old witch, a sarcastic black cat, some beautiful European scenery. It really feels like comfort. Visually, yes, it's like a warm croissant. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But if you dig into the source material we are working with today, which is a really fantastic detailed analysis from the channel Nostalgic Symphony, you start to realize this isn't just a cartoon about magic.
Not at all.
It's actually a profound and sometimes, an uncomfortable meditation on burnout, on the psychology of self-doubt, and what the source calls the quiet, difficult art of finding oneself again.
I have to admit, revisiting this movie through the lens of our source material completely flipped the script for me. I always just thought of it as a simple coming-of-age story. Girl leaves home, girl delivers bread, girl wins. End of story.
Right.
But the way Nostalgic Symphony frames it, it's like Kiki is the poster child for the modern creative struggle, sort of the patron saint of gig workers and burnt-out artists.
It is so striking how layered it is. So the mission for this deep dive is to move past that surface-level plot. We aren't here to just, recount the scenes or tell you, and then this happened.
No.
We want to explore the source's assertion that Kiki's journey mirrors that universal ache of adolescence. We're going to look at why creativity and confidence, well, they just can't be forced. And that terrifying question of what happens when your talent, the thing that makes you you, suddenly just vanishes.
We have a massive amount to unpack today. We're going to look at the symbolism of flight, why the broom matters so much, why the radio matters. We're going to talk about magic not as some superpower, but as a metaphor for talent, for self-worth.
And maybe most importantly, we are going to talk about the crash, that inevitable arrival of burnout, and the role community plays in healing. Because as we'll see, the source makes this really strong case that you cannot heal in a vacuum. You can't just white-knuckle your way through depression.
So buckle up. Or I guess grab your broom. Let's start at the very beginning, section 1 of our roadmap. The leap into the unknown.
The departure.
Right. So, in the world of the film, the premise is set up very. It's tradition for a witch to leave home as soon as she turns 13. It's not really a choice, it's just She has to find a town with no other witches and set up shop to complete her training.
And visually, Miyazaki gives us these incredible cues right away. You have the black dress, the handmade broom, the black cat Gigi, and that watercolor sky.
Right.
Feels so romantic in the literary sense,
Totally.
It's the hero's journey, starting right there in her bedroom.
It really does. It feels like, and she's actually rushing it. She decides to leave a month early just because the weather.
Yeah, she's so eager.
She's stealing her dad's radio. She's packing her bag. There's this infectious energy.
Let's look closer at what the source says about this specific. This isn't just some fantasy trope. This is the universal step into adolescence.
Yeah.
It's that precise moment where you voluntarily leave the comfort of childhood behind.
You're stepping away from the safety net.
Literally flying away from your parents and into this vast, uncertain world.
It's the backpack moment, or the moving into the dorm moment.
Or moving to a new city for that first job where you know absolutely no one.
Oh, totally. I remember packing my car after college. You have that mix of I am invincible and I might actually throw up.
Precisely. The source describes her flight as a journey through the uncharted terrain of the soul. And that phrasing really stuck with me because, physically, she's flying over landscapes, seeing trains and forests.
Right.
But internally, she's navigating anxiety, expectation, and the pressure to perform. She even meets another witch early on, remember? The one who's already established.
Oh, right. The snobby witch.
A senior witch, yeah.
She's just floating there looking super elegant, telling fortunes, talking about future trends. And Kiki's just there with her dad's radio blasting pop music, looking like a messy kid.
And that comparison is the first crack in the armor. She's already measuring herself against someone else. She sees someone successful and immediately feels inadequate. But she pushes through it. She flies through a storm, which is a great little metaphor for that initial struggle, and she finally lands. She chooses this massive, beautiful seaside city, Kuriko.
Kuriko is just stunning. If you look at the animation, the colors are so vibrant, the water is sparkling. I think it's based on Stockholm and Visby. It's European, it's bustling, there are cars everywhere, a giant clock tower. It looks like paradise.
It looks like paradise, but the source notes something really important about Kiki's arrival. The city is dazzling, yes, but it is also indifferent.
Oh, that hit home. There's that scene where she flies in, waving, trying to say hello. Hey, I'm the new witch. And people are just annoyed.
Yeah, they're not awestruck at all.
They're driving, they're busy. A policeman yells at her for obstructing traffic.
That is the reality check. The source contrasts the visual beauty of the city with Kiki's internal experience. She expects a welcome committee. She expects to be special, but she just feels small.
So small.
Everyone else's life is already in motion. They have jobs, schedules, places to be. She is static. And she's an outside. She expects a parade, but she gets a traffic citation.
It's that specific loneliness of being in a crowded room. You're surrounded by people, but you've never felt more invisible.
Yes, and this is a key insight from our material today. The challenge Kiki faces isn't magic. Her magic works fine at the start. She can fly circles around that police car.
Right.
The challenge is belonging. The source argues that this is where the loneliness really starts to creep in. Not because she can't fly, but because she doesn't know where she fits in this unfeeling world.
It's the difference between having a skill and having a place. She has...
But she has no place.
Yeah, and that is a very adult problem.
Very.
So she's in this big city, feeling tiny, clutching her radio, and she needs a place to stay. Which brings us to Osono.
The bakery owner.
I love Osono. She's heavily pregnant, she's running a bakery, she's loud, she's laughing, she's just purely good.
She's great.
She sees Kiki, who is basically home, wandering out of the bakery after returning a pacifier to a customer. And she stops. She offers a trade. You help me in the bakery, you can live in the spare.
And this is such a pivotal moment. The source describes Osono's offer bread, shelter, and trust as the ground where Kiki plants her first seeds of independence. You can't build a life without a foundation. Osono provides that stability. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs right there in a bakery. You need shelter and food before you can have self-actualization.
And Osono doesn't ask for She doesn't ask for a deposit. She just trusts her.
Which is so rare in the indifferent city. Osono represents those pockets of warmth you find in cold places.
And from that stability, Kiki starts her business. The titular delivery. She has a skill flying and she decides...
Which is a very adult transition and a very modern, which is why I think the film resonates.
It really is. I can do this cool thing, so I guess I'll carry pack. It's the side hustle mentality. She's the original gig worker.
She really is. But let's look at the psychological angle the source brings up here. Yeah. On one hand, the work is good. It gives her purpose. It gives her a role in society.
Right.
She isn't just that girl with the cat anymore. She is the delivery girl that connects her to the community.
Yeah, she's delivering a pacifier to a baby, or a pie to a grandma, or a black cat doll to a nephew. She's weaving herself into the fabric of the town. She feels useful.
Useful is the key word. But, and this is a massive but, the source points out that this is a double-edged sword. While the work grants identity, it also begins to drain her.
How so? Because she seems happy at first. She's counting her little coins, she's buying groceries.
Because when you tie your identity entirely to your output, to your magic, you become vulnerable. She's flying not just for the joy of it anymore. She's flying to pay rent.
Oh, right.
She's flying to be accepted. She's flying to buy pancakes.
That's the classic, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Lie.
Exactly. The reality is, do what you love for a living, and you might start to resent what you love. The magic becomes a utility, becomes a commodity. And when your passion becomes a commodity, the spark, the thing that made it magic in the first place, can start to fade.
It becomes a grind.
It becomes a job, and jobs are tiring.
And complicating this whole work-life balance thing, or, lack thereof, is Tombo.
Ah, Tombo, the boy with the glasses and the striped shirt.
He is obsessed with aviation. He belongs to this aviation club where they're trying to build a bicycle-powered flying machine. He sees Kiki flying, and he is just geeking out.
Totally.
He wants to be her friend immediately. He's practically chasing her down the street on his bike.
He represents curiosity.
Yeah.
Just pure, unadulterated curiosity. He doesn't care that she's a witch in a magical sense. He cares about the aerodynamics of her broom.
Right.
But notice Kiki's reaction. She's cold to him, brushes him off.
She is. She's actually kind of rude to him at first. She calls him a delinquent, basically. She just turns her nose up at him.
So why do you think that is?
Well, I always thought she was just annoyed by him. He's loud. She's trying to be a professional. But looking at the analysis, it feels like she's trying to maintain this persona. Like, I am a witch. I am serious. I have a...
That's spot on. The source analyzes this dynamic as a struggle with vulnerability. Tombo offers companionship, but friendship requires you to let your guard down. It requires you to be silly.
Just be a kid.
Exactly. And Kiki is so focused on proving she is strong and independent, proving she can make it in the big city, that she views his silliness and his genuine interest as a threat to her dignity.
She's afraid of rejection. If she opens up and is just a 13-year-old girl, not the witch, Will she still be accepted?
Exact. Friendship is terrifying when you're building a fortress around yourself. The source points out that Tombo is comfortable with who he is. He's a nerd. He fails at flying his bike. He crashes in the bushes, and he just laughs it off.
Right.
Kiki cannot afford to fail, or at least she thinks she can't.
There's that one scene where Tombo invites her to a party, and you can tell she wants to go. She really wants to go. She gets delayed by work, that pie delivery that goes so wrong, and she ends up soaking wet in the rain. She sees Tombo and his friends laughing and having fun, and she just hides.
That scene is so crucial. It highlights the separation she feels. She feels like a worker, a servant, while they're just teenagers enjoying life. The class difference, or at least the perceived difference in status, it just crushes her.
She goes home and falls into bed without even drying off.
Which leads us directly into the crisis. Section 3, the crash, the burnout.
This is where the film just shifts gears entirely.
And it's heartbreaking because it's so quiet, it just starts slow. She just feels tired. The source says she feels uninspired. There's that scene where she just sighs while eating breakfast. And then one morning she goes to jump on her broom and nothing happens. She can't lift off. She runs, she jumps, and just thuds.
This is the turning point of the film. And the source argues that this is the absolute heart of the story. This isn't a villain stealing her powers. There's no kryptonite.
No external enemy at all.
No evil witch casting a curse. No government agency trying to capture her.
No. The source defines this loss of magic as a metaphor for the collapse of self-belief. It is psychological burnout. It's the silence of the creative spirit.
I think anyone who does creative work, or really any demanding work, has felt this. You sit down to do the thing you're good at, the thing that defines you, and the tank is just empty.
So empty.
You just stare at the cursor blinking on the screen or the blank canvas, and there is nothing there.
It's the paralysis of doubt.
Yeah.
And it's compounded by depression. Notice how Miyazaki animates this. The colors get a little muted, the pacing slows down. She spends days just lying in bed facing the wall. She pulls the blanket up over her head.
It's so real. It's not a dramatic movie depression where she's like Cliff. It's a stay in bed until 2 p.m. depression. And the scariest part for her is that without the magic, she feels like she's nothing. She tells Osono, without my magic, I'm just a girl.
That is the danger of tying your worth to your utility. When the utility is gone, the self-worth just evaporates. If I am not the flyer, then who am I? And she has no answer for that yet. She hasn't developed an identity outside of her function.
Okay, now we have to talk about Gigi, the cat. Yeah. Because this is the part that confuses people the most. And honestly, it's the part that makes me the saddest.
The silence of Gigi.
Yeah. When she loses her magic, she also stops being able to understand. Up until this point, they have full conversation. He's sarcastic, he's funny. But suddenly, he just sounds like a regular cat. Meow.
Just meow.
And even at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, when she gets her magic back, she never hears him talk again.
This is a huge point of contention for fans. People want the cat to talk again. They feel like if he doesn't talk, she's still broken. But the source material is very clear on it. It is not a tragedy. It's a transformation.
Okay, explain that, because it feels like a tragedy. She lost her best friend. That's so lonely.
Think about what Gigi represents. The source says he reflects her childhood innocence and instinct. In a psychological sense, he's like an externalization of her own inner voice.
Right.
When she was a child, she needed that voice to be outside of herself, guiding her, making sassy comments, validating her thoughts.
So he was kind of like her imaginary friend, or a manifestation of her subconscious.
In a way,
right?
But maybe more like a crutch for her own intuition. His silence signals the shift from childhood dependence to maturity. Kiki stops hearing him because she doesn't need an external voice to tell her who she is anymore. She is learning to listen to her.
So the silence isn't a loss of connection, it's an integration.
Precisely. She has absorbed that part of herself. She is growing up. If Gigi kept talking forever, it would mean she never really grew up. She needs to face the world as Kiki, not as Kiki and Gigi. She meets a distinct, separate companion in Tombo, and she meets a distinct self in the mirror. Gigi can just be a cat now. He can go be with his cat girlfriend, Lily.
Which he does. He has his own life.
Exactly. He grows up too.
Okay. I can accept that. It still hurts a little. I miss his jokes, but I get the psychological necessity of it. So she's grounded. She's depressed. She can't hear her cat. She's in the pit. She tries to fly again on a hill and falls and breaks her broom. That's rock bottom.
And this is where the recovery begins. And notice, the recovery doesn't start by trying harder.
No.
It doesn't start with a training montage where she does push-ups or reads a spell book. It starts with Ursula.
Ursula, the painter who lives in the woods in the log cabin, she is the coolest character. She wears the tank top and the shorts. She's got paint everywhere. She has crows for friends.
She's great.
She sees Kiki struggling and basically just kidnaps her for a girls' trip to the woods.
Ursula is the mentor figure here, but unlike a traditional mentor who might teach a technique like Yoda teaching Luke how to lift rocks, Ursula teaches perspective. She reveals that she has also known the emptiness of losing inspiration.
That conversation they have in the cabin is iconic.
Yeah.
Kiki is posing for Ursula's painting, and Kiki says, "I used to fly without thinking about it. Now I'm trying so hard and I can't."
And Ursula's response is the key to the whole movie. She tells Kiki that creativity and confidence, they can't be demanded. You can't force them. She compares it to painting. She says, I paint and I can't stop, but then one day, enough pictures won't come.
And Kiki asks, so what do you do then? And Ursula says, stop trying, take long walks, look at the scenery, doze off at noon.
It's such a radical idea, especially in a culture that values constant productivity. Ursula teaches that inspiration has to be nurtured, allowed to breathe, and rediscovered with time. You have to let the field lie fallow. If you keep farming the same soil without a break, nothing grows.
The source calls this reframing failure.
Yes, the film argues that this slump isn't the end of Kiki's career. It's not a sign that she's a bad wit. It's a necessary part of the growth cycle. You break down so you can rebuild stronger. Ursula says her magic is like the blood in her veins. It just flows. But sometimes, you get anemia, you need to rest.
It's like winter. You need the dormant phase for the spring to happen.
Exactly. And look at the ecosystem around her. The source highlights the role of community. Kiki thinks she's all alone, but look at who is holding her up during this depression.
You've got Osono feeding her and giving her a home, never pressuring her to work when she's sick. She just gives her coffee and cake. You've got Tombo, who, even though she was mean to him, is still trying to include her and share his dream. And you've got Ursula giving her wisdom.
Independence, the source argues, is not achieved in isolation. We tend to think of the independent woman or the self-made man as someone who needs no one. But Kiki's delivery service says the opposite. Strength grows when it is nurtured by connection.
She couldn't have gotten her magic back if she was starving in an alley. She needed that safety net.
She needed to be loved for who she was, not just for what she could do. Osono loves her even when she isn't delivering package. Tombo likes her even when she can't fly. That realization that she is worthy of love just by existing is what starts to heal the wound.
It takes the pressure off. She doesn't have to earn her existence.
Exactly. And once the pressure is off, the magic has room to return. But it returns in a moment of crisis, which brings us to the climax.
Section 5, the return of flight. And it's just such a great act. Miyazaki really flexes his animation.
It really is. The setup is dramatic. There's a dirigible, a giant airship visiting the city.
It looks like the Hindenburg, but colorful.
Right. And because of a strong gust of wind, it breaks loose from its mooring, dragging across the city, knocking things over. And who is hanging on for dear life?
Tombo! Of course it's Tombo. He was there to see the engine and he got caught on a rope. Now he's dangling hundreds of feet in the air, drifting toward the clock tower.
The whole city is watching. It's a spectacle. And Kiki is on the ground. She sees this on a TV screen in a shop window. She knows she has no magic. She hasn't flown in weeks.
But she doesn't hesitate. She runs toward him. She runs through the crowd. And this is key. She grabs a broom from a street sweeper. It's not her fancy broom she made at home. It's this gnarly old brush. The twigs are going in every direction.
The borrowed broom. This is significant symbolism. She isn't relying on her tools or her preparation. She doesn't have her special equipment. She is just in a moment of crisis.
She's shouting at the broom, fly! Please fly! She's stomping her foot. She's so desperate.
And this is the internal shift. The source notes that in this moment, Kiki cannot think or plan. She doesn't have time to doubt herself. She doesn't have time to wonder if she's good enough or if she looks silly. She must simply trust. The need to save her friend overrides the fear of failure.
And she does. She wobbles, she scrapes the ground, she hits the pavement a few times, but she takes off. It's a messy flight. It's not graceful like at the beginning of the movie where she's doing loops. She looks like she's wrestling the broom.
It's a moment of pure faith. And she saves Tombo right before he hits the ground. It's thrilling.
Yeah.
But the source makes a beautiful point here. More importantly, she saves herself.
Saves herself.
From fear, from insecurity, from the belief that she was powerless. When she catches Tombo, she isn't just catching a boy. She's catching her own agency. She proves to herself that the magic wasn't in the black cat, and it wasn't in the fancy broom, and it wasn't in what other people thought of her. It was in her. It was always in her.
And the aftermath reflects that. The magic returns, but the source says the girl is...
Yes, she has risen from doubt. She's not the same naive kid who left home with a radio. She's battle-tested. She knows that she can lose her magic and get it back, and that knowledge makes her resilient.
And notice the framing of this independence. The source highlights something I think is crucial. Unlike so many stories for young girls, especially from this era, the late 80s, this story does not revolve around romance.
True, she saves Tombo, but But they don't kiss. They don't ride off into the sunset getting married. They're just friends. They ride bikes together in the credits.
It is a story of self-discovery. It celebrates feminine independence, where the girl is the hero of her own journey. The witch archetype is flipped. She isn't a marginalized crone living in a gingerbread house eating kids. She isn't a villain.
Not at all.
She is empowered. She is a member of the community, and she is complex.
It really is refreshing. It's about her relationship with herself, first and foremost. Can she live with herself? Can she like herself? That's the central conflict.
And her relationship with her art. Or her work. The movie ends with her writing a letter home.
Right. I'm doing okay. It's so understated.
She writes, "There are still some times when I feel a little down, but I love this city."
That is quiet resilience. She doesn't say, "I'm the queen of the world," or "I am perfectly happy every single day." She acknowledges the sadness, but she chooses to stay. That is maturity.
So bringing it all together, we've gone from the excitement of leaving home, to the grind of the city, to the depths of burnout, and finally to this mature, grounded confidence.
It's a complete emotional arc. It covers the entire spectrum of growing up.
The source summary wraps this up beautifully. It says Kiki's story isn't about witches, it's about us.
It addresses the loneliness of searching for a place in the world. We all want to find our Kariko. We all want to find the place where we fit, where the baker gives us bread, and the boy with the glasses wants to be our friend.
And we all face the moment where the thing we love becomes hard.
Yes, and the film reminds us that magic is found in self-trust and kindness. It's not a finite resource that runs out forever. It's a tide. It goes out, but if you wait and if you rest, it comes back in. You just have to trust the tide.
I love the provocative thought the source leaves us with. It suggests that even in our darkest hours of uncertainty, the horizon was ours all along.
That's such a powerful image. The sky didn't go anywhere just because you couldn't fly for a week. The opportunity is still there.
So here's the question for you listening right now. If magic isn't a superpower, but just the ability to trust your own fragile hands after a fall, where in your own life are you currently?
Where are you trying to fly on an empty tank?
Right.
Where are you demanding that you perform perfectly when you actually need to rest?
Exactly. Are you pushing through the burnout, demanding that the broom fly? Or can you find the courage to be like Earth, sit in the woods, polish an apple, watch the crows, and wait for your wings to heal naturally?
Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop trying to fly for a moment and just...
On that note, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Kiki's delivery service. Go nurture your magic.
And we'll see you next time.